Hey everyone, welcome back to another quick tie. My name is Tim Hepworth here with Fly Fishing Bover Outfitters and Thursday Night Live Fly Tying. We want to thank Western Canada Fly Fishing Guide School for bringing you this quick tie this evening. We are going to be tying a CDC Ant. This is coming out of Season 6, Episode 4. You can see it just below me there. Really great little pattern, super easy to tie ant, which is always fun, nothing too complicated. I'll be tying this out of my Season 6 kit tonight. Looks like this. If you're tying out of your Season 6 kit as well, just head on over, grab out the your package. It has the Episode 4 number on it. If you're tying out of our individual kits, that is totally alright too. You're going to have all the materials to do that. Just open it up and follow along. If you don't have any of our kits, that's alright as well. Just head over to our website and you can get the full fly recipe from there and tie along with us. So let's head over to the vise without further delay and let's get going on this guy. Okay. This is what it's going to turn out to look like, hopefully, when we're done. So this is the CDC Ant, comprised of just a few materials. We got a hackle, we got a little bit of dubbing, kind of giving it that cinnamon colored underside to it. We got the CDC plume up top, that's giving us a nice little bit of cider, maybe keeping it floating a little better as well. And then yeah, just some hackle. Okay, so we're going to take you through this one. So let's pop that out of the vise. We'll grab another hook. And this isn't a super tiny ant either. This is about a 14, which is a nice, comfortable size to tie. Make sure that's straight. There we go. I am tying with some UTC 70 in this golden brown. Really like it for this one. It's a really close match to the other materials we'll be using. So we're going to go ahead. Let's start this thread just behind the eye of the hook. We're going to work it all the way back. I'm going to leave it right about at that barb, between the barb and the hook point, somewhere in there. Trim out our tag end. The first thing that we're going to be working with, and the majority of the time we're going to be working with it, is a piece of foam. So in your kit, you're going to have these long strip of foam like so. What I want you to notice is I have virtually cut it in half. Okay, so a much smaller piece. We don't need a super, super wide one for this ant. So kind of just gauge it off that. I want about half of that strip that you started with. And I have a piece that's about 1 inch long. It should be enough to do this fly. So you can just cut a little piece off like that. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in on one end and I'm just going to trim a nice little point into the foam. Just going to make it a little easier to tie in at the back. So I'm going to take a couple more thread wraps rearward. And then I'm going to lay that point kind of on the near side of the fly. So towards myself, I'm going to lay it right there, just holding it. And take a thread wrap right over the point, so that when I pull on it, it kind of pulls it up and even on top of the hook shank. Because the goal here is that we get a nice even amount of foam on either side of the hook. So you can see it just like that. Okay. And I just realized I'm probably wearing the worst colored shirt to show you how to tie black foam, but that's okay.
Switch it!
I'm not taking my shirt off next time. So we just want to make sure that that foam is nice and bound down. It's not going anywhere on us. And then I want you to basically, in your head, in your head, judge the back portion of the fly. Because as I showed you here, you can see you have like a back portion size and a front portion. The back needs to be larger. So I'm going to think that my body in the back with the dubbing is going to come out to about where my scissors are. I'm going to have my hackle in the middle and then just a small head. So as long as the proportions are bigger in the back than the front, we'll be happy with it. So let's go ahead and put some dubbing in here. So I'm going to take my thread back to right there. You got about enough dubbing to do 3,000 of these in your kit. Grab a little pinch off there. We're gonna make a little dubbing noodle. So remember, as we do this, moving our fingers in the same direction on the thread, I'm just gonna spin that dubbing nice and tight right onto there. I'm gonna grab a little bit more because I'm sure I'm gonna need a little bit. We wanna kind of over exaggerate the body on this, like making it a little bit more bulk than maybe you think it would be, because it does get compressed by the foam a bit once we pull the foam back over. So I'm just making a kind of nice bulb shape. I'm going to add just a smidge more. Not too much. Put that up there. Just a little bit more round there. Good. Okay, so that's going to be the back portion of the fly, the bigger part of the body. I'm going to pull this foam up and over. Okay, like so. No, you know what? I'm dissatisfied. I'm gonna add just a little smidge more. I want that body to come a little further forward up the hook shank. It's always kind of hard to gauge because You have all that hackle that's going to go in the middle, but let's bring it forward just a smidge. So we can kind of exaggerate that body a bit. There we go. Now I'm going to pull that foam up and over. And right there, I'm just going to take kind of one loose-ish wrap. Take a second one. And before I pull tight on it, I'm just going to grab onto that back foam, make sure it's right up on top, and just pull it tight. With this little bit smaller thread, we don't want to pull super tight because we also have the risk of cutting right through the foam. So you're better to do more light wraps than you are to do a bunch of super tight ones. So at this point, we need to secure some foam down. So I'm just going to do some kind of open spiral wraps with intermittent pressure moving forward because I need to trap this foam all the way down to the eye of the hook. Okay, so I kind of tip that up. I can go a little bit more, maybe one more wrap. So I've got that trapped all the way up to the eye, and now I just want to lay a whole bunch of thread wraps over top of all this, making sure that foam is right up on top. Just kind of smoothing out that area. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my thread right to there, and I'm going to build the little head of my fly. So we're going to use about half as much dubbing as we did in the back for the front. Make another little dubbing noodle. Might have too much on here, but we'll see here in a sec. Gonna wrap that little head. Yeah, I do have too much. That's fine. Pull a little bit off. Right there. So you can definitely see there's a difference in size between that back portion and the front portion. That's what we want to see. And now one more time, we're gonna bring that foam back over the other direction. We're gonna pull it tight. Same thing we did in the last portion. I take kind of one loose, one a little tighter, and then just a few wraps to make sure it's good and tight. Okay, so this is what we're left with at the moment. We're gonna go in and trim out that foam, and then we're just gonna lay some thread wraps nice and tight over the butt ends of that so it's not gonna go anywhere, and we can cover it up. Okay, now we're gonna go and find yourself one of those CDC plumes that you have in your kit. Okay, now I just want you to kind of stroke it forward. So you pull it all to a point, you got a nice big fluff. Now this fluff is gonna stand almost straight up because of the shape of that foam where it's coming up. But I wanna measure it so that it would hang off the back, you know, about a hook gap in width out the back. I'm gonna switch my hands over and I'm gonna secure that right there. Making sure it's right in the middle. You can take your hand off and see kind of where it's gonna sit. There we go. Yeah, should be good. I should be able to see it. If I need it to be a little shorter, I just give a little tug on the tail end. There we go. Now I'll trim this out. And again, I'm gonna put a few thread wraps over that to kind of lock it down. And now we only have one more piece to the puzzle here, and that's gonna be our hackle. So in your kit, you're gonna have this really long strip of hackle, this kind of reddish brown color. I want you to go down to the butt end of it. So not the tip, but the butt end. It's gonna look like this down here, and I want you to just peel off a few of those fibers. Okay, so you expose a little bit of the stem. That's what we'll tie it in with. You're also gonna need to find the underside, so you can see what you're seeing there, that kind of darker brown versus the reddy brown. That lighter colored brown is the underside. We wanna tie the underside of the hackle so it's facing back down the fly. So that's what I'm gonna do right here. I'm gonna get that stem piece in where I had it, with the underside pointed rear and down the fly. I'm gonna lock in that stem with a wrap. I kind of pull that CDC back out of the way, make sure I got some wraps right up against it, and then I'm gonna wrap forward, totally covering it up. Yeah, the stem's completely gone. So now all we gotta do is we're just gonna palmer this middle section with this hackle. So kind of wanna make sure that all that CDC is back out of the way before you start. And we're just gonna do some nice wraps fairly close together to fill in that space as we move forward. Just like that. Once we get to here, do that last one. Now thread has to go behind and kind of weave your way through those hackle fibers so they don't all get trapped down. We are gonna probably have to trim a few, but just try not to trap too many of them. So behind and in front, behind and in front. Just like that. Once we get all that there, we can try to pull any of those little ones that are in the way or trapped, we try to pull them back, and if they don't come back, then we're just going to trim them out. Now we can go in and trim out the stem of this hackle. Get that out of the way. Let's do a quick little whip finish here. We'll trim a couple things up, and then this will be it for this fly. So we're gonna do a 3 or 4 turn whip finish here. I'm gonna do it twice. Just like that, and we can trim out our thread. Now it's good and secure. Now we're gonna do a couple of things with the trimming. So I just wanna look and see, yeah, I got a couple there. They're kind of out on their own. So trim those guys out. And then what we're gonna do on the bottom of this fly is we don't want any hackle to show below that hook point. So we're actually gonna come in here with our scissors, find that level of the hook point, and trim them. Trim them kind of flat. So then nothing should be coming out below that hook point. What that's gonna do is it's gonna help this fly hopefully ride the right way it should in the water, which is gonna be just like that. And that way, it's gonna look a little more natural. Okay guys, that is the CDC Ant coming out of season 6, episode 4. Hopefully yours turned out well. Give us some feedback here if you're watching this right now. Let us know how it went for you. Let us know that you even watched the video. We love to see that people are taking advantage of these quick ties. Okay, well, again, my name is Tim Hepworth here with Fly Fishing Boat Outfitters and Thursday Night Live Fly Tying. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit that little bell, and you'll see next week when we have 2 more flies coming out. Until then, keep your stick on the ice again.